Hey y'all, this is David, the Georgia photographer, and I got some highlights from last week's photography trip that's gonna blow your mind. Hey, and I just wanted to thank James Worthington for the generous PayPal donation he made. I really wanted to incorporate it into this video, and the clip where I recorded it was jacked, so I'm adding it in now. But yeah, James, I really appreciate the donation. All right, we went to Maggie Valley and we set up camp, basically in Maggie Valley in a cabin. We do this every year. We nicknamed it the Fellowship of the Aperture Ring. Me and Aaron meet somewhere and we shoot landscape and wildlife and street or whatever we can find. We just take pictures for 3 or 4 days. And then in the evenings, we'll a lot of times edit the photos we took that day and, and just play with different softwares and things like that. He turned me on to a program known as Exposure. If you haven't seen Exposure, I actually like it a lot. It actually is really easy to use and it gives you really good results. I now have a copy of Exposure and I've been playing with it, and I really do. I really like it a lot. So let's talk about some of the things I did while I was there. Maggie Valley is only like 30 minutes from Asheville, North Carolina. I get up there on Wednesday around 11:30-ish or whatever. I'm there early. Aaron had to work a little late, so he was going to be late that evening before he got in. I went ahead and rode over to Asheville, and I went to a camera shop there. And I'll populate it on the screen here. But it's a really cool vintage gear camera shop. They have new gear too, but not much. It's mostly like, it's just like almost a collection of vintage camera gear. It's really incredible, all the stuff they have in that store. There's so much, you can't see it all. You like overlook stuff looking at it. There's so much of it. I bought another 50mm f1.4. I bought the AI. Now I have the pre-AI and the AI. So my next one is going to be the AIS. That way I have all 3 of those 50mm f1.4s from Nikon. I guess I'm headed that way for some reason. But yeah, he had the 50mm f1.4 AI pretty reasonable. So I went ahead and picked it up. And I got a little 28, 55 mil. I got a little M42 mount lens and it's packed away. I still haven't unpacked from that trip yet. We got home Sunday. I put my camera bags in the bedroom. Monday was jam-packed to bedtime with problems and situations to resolve and all this sort of stuff. Today has been more of the same. Tomorrow is pretty much on tap for more of that. So you'll get to watch this video while I'm toiling away in the machine shop trying to get things sorted out for that. Once I got done in the camera shop, I took the old Yashica AX3 with the 50mm f1.4, and I went and took a roll of film. It's a film with Kodak Tri-X 400. And I went down to downtown Asheville. The roll of film is actually still in the camera currently, but I've done rewound it into the canister so that it won't get light pollution. But I'm testing the camera for light leaks. I shot a roll of film and I'm going to get it developed at Safelite. They called me while I was out and told me my negatives were ready. I paid them and they sent me links to a Dropbox with some scans in it of my negatives. Looked real good. They done real good work. So I'm kind of really happy to find that. But I'm going to drop these off, and I've got one more roll of 35mm I found in the cabinet the other day, straightening up some stuff. I'm going to drop it off, pick up the negatives from the last batch, and I'll see in about a week if this camera is going to be suitable for use. Once I get that information back, then we'll move forward with the AX3. But yeah, I shot this up with it for a couple of hours walking around downtown Asheville on Wednesday. And then went and got the key, went to the cabin. Cabin was super nice. Got all my gear drug in, and I just took me kind of a breather because I had done walked for probably 2 or 3 miles in Asheville that afternoon, waiting on Aaron to show up. Well, he shows up, brings steaks. We eat steaks for supper. It was very good, by the way. The next day, we go on this glorious trip over to the Cataloochee National Forest, I believe is how you say it. And we find a huge herd of elk. We get beautiful photos because they're in this meadow that's still shaded from the sun. It's daylight, but the sun hasn't directly shined on that meadow yet, so all the grass is still covered in frost. And it made for beautiful photos. I'll throw one in here now so you can see. But I got beautiful photos of some elk. So did Aaron. Aaron got some gorgeous photos too. It was not hard to do. We rode around. We found a Cooper's hawk, I believe is what it was. It had lit in a tree, but it was way off. So I had to crop in a lot to even see the little guy in my camera. Did the best I could. Then when we tried to move around to position him better and move in a little closer, it spooked him and he flew away. So it was okay. We still enjoyed it. And then coming out, we jumped a couple deer on the road, but they were into the bushes before we even get a photo of them. But the road to go into the Cataloochee is super windy. Dude, it's like crazy windy. And I get car sick real easy, so it was kind of a test to see if I could handle the ride in, because I rode with Aaron. We always like to take his car because he's got a little Subaru, I think it's an Outback, I'm pretty sure it is. But it's real maneuverable and it's all-wheel drive, so it pretty much never gets stuck. And, you know, these little tight switchbacks, he can just drive right around them, and it's real easy. Plus, it's a huge cabin to store all our junk in right there with us, so we can just hop out, get cameras, take pictures. You know, it just works really well. But we come back out of the Cataloochee, grab some lunch, and then edit photos pretty much the rest of the day. We went and scouted a waterfall, decided that we was going to maybe try it the next day at a certain time, because he was looking to get the light on it a certain way. And we were late. The light had already passed by, and it was already going down, so it was dark. So we decided not to fool with it. It was right on the side of the road. Just outside of Maggie Valley, headed towards Cherokee, there is a beautiful waterfall literally on the side of the road. It's 20 yards of a walk down to it. It's close. The next day, we go into the Pisgah Forest, which is to the kind of south and east of Maggie Valley. And it's on the Blue Ridge Parkway. It's beautiful. It goes along the tops of the mountains through that parkway. And we actually stopped at several pull-offs, took a bunch of landscape photos. You could literally, it was bright enough, we handheld them. And I was shooting 20 millimeters almost exclusively. I put the 70-200 on once and got a couple of more telephoto sort of detailage, but the rest of them were at 20 mil. And then we found a waterfall, and it was toward the far other end of it. Well, we decided we're going to hike out to that waterfall. One thing leads to another. We always have some sort of catastrophe on the hike, whether it be uphill all the way or for miles or something. Well, this time the trail split on the map, and you had to take the left-hand fork to go to the waterfall. We strike out down the trail. We get to the split. We take the left split. Looks great. The longer we walk on the trail, the less trail there is. And before you know it, we're basically bushwhacking up the creek, beside the creek up to the waterfall. We finally get to a point where we've been doing this for over an hour, and we decide, okay, we're going to find a clearing, send the drone up, figure out where the waterfall is, and see what's going on, see if we can find the trail, because we can't see it. So we find us a little clearing, about probably 10 foot by 8 foot, something like that. It was big enough. We launched the drone. Aaron held it up, and I flew it up from there. And then we got it up. Well, I had just put new blades on it because of that incident with y'all might not have seen it yet. The Urbex video is coming. There was an issue with the rotor blades. I had bought some aftermarket rotor blades. And so I replaced them with another set of aftermarket rotor blades. And they worked. They felt great. Everything was looking good. Well, I got it up in the air and flew it towards, we found the waterfall. We could see it. So I flew it up closer to try and maybe see where the trail was. And when I turned it around to come back, it flew back about 300-400 feet. I flew it out about 1,000 feet, and I had spun it around and was bringing it back. And it was about 125, 150 feet up is what it said. And all at once, it just starts spinning and crashes. Completely crashed it. Well, take a wild guess where it landed. All right. It has DJI rotor blades on it now, by the way. Let's see here. Need a battery to pull the gimbal cover, juice this bad boy up, and it powers up. Gimbal is located. Yeah, you see how it has this yellow light? That yellow light means I think it's this motor is dead. Pretty sure it's this one. One of the motors doesn't like, it'll do a little twitch with the motors to test them, and I think this is the one that's not working. It's got a dead motor. It won't fly. The camera's working. You can look at the gimbal and you can see the gimbal's doing its thing. And we can see video feed to the phone. So the gimbal part, the camera's working. It's just that this motor, I believe it's this one, is dead. So I'm gonna either do a video taking this guy apart, turn it off, and share with you guys what I find, because I'm kind of hoping that the little plug that plugs it onto the circuit board got knocked loose, because it fell from over 100 feet. Probably before it faulted out, it probably fell a good 90 feet. It probably descended trying to capture itself that much. But I'm thinking this motor might have went bad, and that's why it crashed. But when I found it, wait till you see the video. Wait till you see where I found it. I used the app has a Find My Drone function. So I turned it on immediately, and it shows it on like a little GPS map where your drone's at, and you basically just walk to where it was last known GPS coordinates was, but it had lost communication. So it couldn't do all the little features that the drone will do to help you locate it. I just happened to see the blinking light that you saw just then. That's the only reason I found it at all. But yeah, it'll be in the video. I won't spoil that for you, but wait till you see it. But once we do the drone recovery, we figured out while I was hunting for the drone, Aaron noticed some hikers like 100 feet up the slope, literally 30 yards up the slope on this elephant path of a trail. Come to find out, we turned left one turn too soon. It was this huge, easy to walk path all the way. The moral of the story is, don't run those aftermarket blades. There's something wrong with them. They're too long for one thing, and they actually will hit the drone body, and because of that it was breaking chunks out of them. And I don't know, that may have been what broke the motor. I don't know, but I'm gonna hope that the motor come unplugged. How far along are we? 15 minutes. Wow, this is gonna last longer than I thought. I was gonna share this with you too, and then we'll wrap things up for the day. This came to me through my sister. They're cleaning out. My mom's gonna sell her house and move, and so she's over there helping my mom sort through the stuff in the shed where my dad used to keep all of his woodworking stuff and all those little treasures he'd find at the flea market and things like that. And she brings this to work yesterday and says, "Hey, you want this old lens?" I look at it, and it's a Yashica Yashinon DX 50mm f1.4 M42 thread mount. It's nasty. I'm gonna clean it up. It's very dusty and dirty from years of just sitting on a shelf, but it's intact, and the aperture ring works, and it's not stiff, and the focus ring is smooth. It makes a little noise in one spot, but it's not gritty. So it might actually clean up and take photos. I've got M42 mounts for all sorts of different cameras, but I thought that's a pretty neat piece of memorabilia from my dad that he picked up at some yard sale somewhere along the way. So we're gonna play with this guy pretty soon. But I thought that's pretty cool. I wanted to share it with you. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of catch up with you guys a little bit, because we haven't talked since last Saturday, and last Saturday was a bit of a rant about YouTube and how it manipulates the YouTuber as well as the YouTubee. But yeah, I just want to talk to y'all guys for a little bit. So with that, this is David, the Georgia photographer. If you like to crash your drone, talk about it in the comments. I think Phil said he flew one of his early mini drones. On the day he got it, it flew away and he never found it. So at least I was able to recover mine and get the memory card out of it. But yeah, until next time, get your camera out and go take a picture with it. All right, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.